Hi everyone and welcome back to the next diecast. For today's video I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale 2003 Ford Thunderbird 007 edition made by the Beanstalk Group. You probably haven't heard of the Beanstalk Group, that's because they don't exist anymore in terms of making models. They were a very kind of brief company. What they did was they sold and marketed Ford diecast models for, I want to say maybe a 10-year time period. They made models in 1/18 scale of the 2003 Ford Thunderbird, as you see here, in a few colors, like this coral color, which came on in the special 007 edition. It also came in a light blue and a dark gray. And they also made models of the 2004 Thunderbird, which are very hard to come by now. And this one's actually pretty rare now too. You can't really find it in many places aside from eBay, of course. And they also made the 2004 Ford F-150 and the Ford Mustang concept from that same year. Now, Beanstalk Group didn't actually make the models themselves. From what I found from research, it looks like Mini Champs is the manufacturer of the models, not the distributor and seller of the models. Beanstalk Group sold the models, and that's what they're branded as. And Mini Champs was the one, I think, who made the models. Now, this Thunderbird you can see here, it's a really amazingly detailed model overall. I got it used. I got it about 6 years ago for, I want to say, $26. It was at a local hobby shop, but it was on the shelf for a long time, and the box was pretty ratty looking, so they ended up knocking off a few dollars for me. I think it was originally supposed to be $34, but I got it for 26 or 27. And I'd say for that it's an amazing deal, considering the model's rarity and its overall detailing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the details here. We'll start with the front of this model. Now, Maisto is the other manufacturer of this Ford Thunderbird in scale 1/18, and the mold of this model, I believe, is based off the Maisto version. And you can tell because some of the details are exactly the same on the Maisto, but the interior is completely different. It's not what you see on the Maisto Ford Thunderbird. But we'll go ahead and start with the front of the model here. You can see that Beanstalk Group did a pretty good job with these headlights here. There is a small peg in each of the headlights. You can see in the center here, but it's not really that visible, especially when you go like that. You can't really see it that well, which is nice. And it kind of is in the place where the light bulb would be too, so it's not really that big of a deal. This egg crate grill is what they actually call it on the Thunderbird. That's hollow. It's not like a solid piece or anything like that. So that's really kind of interesting to see. And there's no big gaps or anything between the metalwork and the grill, which is nice to see as well. And they call these parking lights on the Thunderbird. They're separate plastic pieces, and they look very good. And this lower grill down here is also solid. And it's actually metal too, which is nice, nice to see. Paint quality overall is pretty good. It's not metallic or anything. This color is called coral. What happened was, in the James Bond movie Die Another Day, Halle Berry, who was the Bond girl in that movie, she drove a coral-colored 2002 Thunderbird. It looked just like this, and it had a matching coral hardtop roof. And what Ford did in 2003 was they released a limited edition, 1 of 700 edition of that Thunderbird. Only for their version of the car, they included it with a white hardtop, as you can see here. And I'll demonstrate how this is put on the car later. And this model here is a 1 of 5,000 edition. I think owners of the real 007 edition Thunderbird, 007 edition Thunderbird, each got their own version of the model too. Yeah, anyway, that was just a little bit of, I guess, history, story time, and whatnot. But yeah, the paint looks very good. I like the unique kind of orange color. There are a little bit of some rough areas. You can see a little bit above the bird logo here on the hood, but only in direct light can you really see it, so it's not that big of a deal. On the side of the model, Beanstalk Group did a good job with these wheels. These wheels were exclusive to the 007 edition Thunderbird, and also on the Neiman Marcus edition Thunderbird from 2002. I like the chrome kind of spoke they did on there too. There are disc brakes, but there's no calipers, but at least the disc brakes do move. You can't really see it from this angle, but they are there, and they look pretty good. These side grills are nicely done. Unlike the Maisto version, there's actually separate metal pieces inside there. On the Maisto version, they're just kind of painted on gray. They look really good, and it's kind of kind of paying homage to the 1950s Thunderbird with that side vent on there. Turn signals are just painted on. Not the best because they almost kind of match the paint too, which looks a bit weird. But I guess to kind of save on cost, they made them as like painted on pieces instead of like separate plastic pieces. Would have been nice to see them as separate plastic pieces though. This Thunderbird inscription back here is similar to is similar to the inscription on the 1955 version of the Thunderbird, which is what this is kind of based off of. It's not a separate piece, but it is painted on there. Very well done. It's kind of hard to see in this light. There you go. That's a little bit better. So they did an overall good job with that, I would say. Panel gaps aren't that bad. The door's a little bit prevalent, but from a distance, it's not really that bad. Moving along to the rear, they did a really nice job with these taillights too. They're kind of the same thing as the headlights, only red with like the turn bezels in the center there. They're not loose or anything like that. I know in some Meister versions they're very loose, but on this Beanstalk version, they look great and they aren't loose. This Thunderbird logo is done very nice. You can really see that turquoise on there, which is really nice to see. On the Meister version, I think it's just kind of gold. The license plate frame is framed out in chrome, which looks like it's made of metal, but it's actually plastic, so that's a nice little extra detail there. Exhaust pipes are chrome, but they are at least hollowed out, so you can tell that they're more, I guess, realistic than just completely chrome pipes. Opening features, we'll go ahead and take a look. The trunk, of course, opens. Not much to really see in there. It's not carpeted or anything like that. It is the right, size and dimensions and all that. It does have kind of a bit of like a rougher plastic in there to simulate carpeting, but it's not carpeting. The underside of the trunk lid is fully painted. There's no underspray or anything like that, which is nice to see. There is kind of a gap in the trunk lid, but you can't really tell from a distance, which is okay. You don't really get suspension on this model, but you do have full steering, which is nice to see. Engine detail, I'll go ahead and take a look at that. It's pretty much the same thing as the Meister version. It is kind of like one piece, but it does have the Thunderbird V8 logo in the center there, and it is colored in, which is nice. There's a little prop rod right here. You can pull that up to keep the hood up. The funny thing is that in 2003, Ford actually changed the V8 engine, so it looks a little bit different. This is kind of like the 2002 engine, but it's not a big deal. It's well detailed, and I think the main focus on this model was pretty much the interior. Go ahead and close that up. The interior is where it gets very interesting. Take a look at these seats. Extremely well detailed. They look like they're made of real leather, and just the overall shape and everything is just spot on. They even put the little Thunderbird logo in there in the center, and the stitching on the headrest. It just looks great. The seatbelt buckles won't be silver. I made those silver with the marker just to add some more detailing, but the seatbelts themselves have a nice texture to them as if they're actual seatbelts, which is really, really cool. Back here, there's a Thunderbird logo on this rear parcel shelf. Kind of the same thing as the exterior logos, which looks really good. Nice leather pattern down below here, as you can see. Detailing on the center console is perfect. All the buttons are separately labeled, and they're all painted properly. The steering wheel has the Thunderbird logo up top there. This looks kind of like a Chrysler logo from a distance now that I think of it. There's a little tiny horn logo on either side of the steering wheel, and also an airbag symbol down there. They did a really incredible job. And that Thunderbird inscription on the dashboard is raised up plastic. It's not painted on. It's not on there at all. It's raised up plastic, which looks great. Nice pattern going across the top of the dashboard. It looks like leather. Door panels also have very nice detailing. You can see the two-tone with the white and the black. This interior was actually exclusive to the 007 edition Thunderbird with the two-tone white and black throughout, which looks incredible. This is a Mini Champs interior without carpeting, basically. And Mini Champs interiors in the 2000s were incredible, as you can see here. They just did a really spot-on job. So we'll go ahead and close that up. Close up the doors. This model does come with a removable hardtop, as you can see here. And it is just plastic, but it does look pretty good. They put the little Thunderbird logos in the porthole windows with the chrome trim around them. We'll go ahead and take off. This is the rear boot cover. All you have to do is just take it off like so. And then you match up these notches on the hardtop with the notches on the windshield. Slide it in like so. then just kind of ease it into place. And then there you go. And this model really does look good with both the top on and the top off, I would say. It looks really incredible. In fact, I prefer the white top over the coral top. At first I was kind of like, well, maybe Ford should have matched it to the movie car, but I'm thinking that the white top actually looks a lot better. They did really, overall, this is a really good model. Many people aren't really a fan of the 02 to 05 Thunderbirds. I know I personally am. I think they look really, really good. Overall, if you're lucky enough to find any version of the Beanstalk Thunderbird, whether it's the 2004 or the 2003 version, I recommend picking it up because it's kind of a unique, retro modern car to kind of add to your collection. And this looks good with, classic American cars, with modern American cars, sports cars, supercars, really anything. It looks really unique in any collection, especially in this color. So I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, leave any questions or comments down below in the comments section. And be sure to follow my Instagram page and Nick's Diecast page, which is all lowercase and no spaces. Thanks for watching, guys.